It's time to take the Are You a Sheeple Test. It's 10 questions. Get a pencil and paper and tally your score. For every correct answer, you get a 1. For every incorrect answer, you get a 0. Question number 1 of 10. The Federal Reserve is part of the federal government. True or false? Give yourself a point if you marked false. The Federal Reserve is a private conglomerate of privately owned big banks. Question number 2. Bill Clinton once balanced the yearly budget. True or false? The answer again is false. The best Bill Clinton ever did was fiscal year 2000, ending 9/29/2000, where they spent $17.91 billion more than they brought in, with a $5.67 trillion national debt. Not bad compared to today's numbers. Question number 3. I know what Building 7 was. True or false? You get a point if you marked true. Building 7 was next to the Twin Towers during 9/11 and caught fire when the towers went down. The controversy with Building 7 is that it had occupants such as the CIA, the Department of Justice, the Internal Revenue Service, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Secret Service, and many other big banks. When Building 7 was on fire, the fire department was ordered out due to alleged unsafe conditions. Consequently, all of the records, including the financial records, were lost. Question 4. The United States is a democracy. True or false? The answer is false. The United States is a republic, not a democracy. With the bad taste of a tyrannical government still in the mouths of the founding fathers, they set freedoms and rights of the people as job one. They knew that a democracy does not protect the rights of their citizens, so they opted for a republic. Question 5. Both Reuters and the Associated Press are owned by the Rothschilds family. True or false? You get a point if you marked true. According to the EU Times, from a book called Who Owns Our TV Networks, the House of the Rothschilds bought Reuters News Service in the 1800s. Within the last 20 years, Reuters has purchased the Associated Press. They also pointed out that the Rothschilds own all 3 networks. I am a top-to-bottom Republican or Democrat. True or false? You can only get a point on that if you mark false. The chances of an independent thinker who believe everything in one party and nothing in the other party are about probably the same chances of winning the lottery. There's only 2 places you'll find a top-to-bottom Democrat or Republican. One is the TV, because that's what's in their job description. The other is in a field, in the form of a sheep, who's been listening to the TV just a little too much. Number 7. I know what QE is. You get a point if you marked A. QE is quantitative easing. The Fed prints imaginary money to monetize the debt by buying bonds. It's the equivalent of having a lot of debt and getting more credit cards to use to pay off that debt. After the Federal Reserve announced QE 1 and 2 and 2.5, they stopped announcing them and announced that it would be indefinite. Number 8. I know what NDAA is. True or false? And you do get a point for marking true on this. NDAA is the National Defense and Authorization Act. It was a bill passed in the last days of 2011, signed by Obama, that gave the U.S. government legal grounds to indefinitely detain any American citizen who they thought was a risk. That means they've taken away a U.S. citizen's right to a fair trial to who they see fit. Number 9, the Social Security Trust Fund is dwindling down. True or false? You get a point if you marked false. There is no Social Security Trust Fund. There is no money left in this country. They've been spending more than they take in for as long as I can remember. Currently, for every dollar they spend, they have to borrow just less than half of it. Last question, number 10. I know what the petrodollar is. If you can honestly answer A, you get another point. The petrodollar is a term of a secured agreement with OPEC countries that they will buy and sell oil using the dollar, the US dollar. Also note that almost every country who doesn't fulfill that petrodollar agreement has gone to war with us or suffered through our sanctions. If you got less than 2 correct, you are definitely a sheeple. If you got between 3 and 5 correct, you're doing really well. Better than most people in this country. You might even consider yourself to be more of a black sheep. If you got between 6 and 8, hats off to you. You're probably not one of those types who talk about daily news at the water cooler. If you got more than 8, you are wide awake. You're probably one of those independent thinkers. You probably research things through rather than just believe what they tell you.